4 and Local 4 Plus. Featuring Matt Moroun of Central Transport and the Ambassador Bridge. Joy Harris, the President and COO of DTE Energy. And Ryan Maibach, President and CEO of Barton Malow Holdings. Our moderator today is Dennis Archer Jr., Chairman and CEO of 1642 Ventures. Today's conversation is brought to you by PNC Bank, Walker Miller Energy Services, DTE Energy, Rocket Companies, and Delta Dental. Now, here's Kathy Ned, President of Real Times Media News Group, to get the show started.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome to Pancakes and Politics Forum 2, Big Projects, Big Futures. I would like to thank everyone for coming out this rainy morning, Friday morning, and I would like to thank all of our sponsors, especially our presenting sponsor, PNC Bank. Michael Bickers, will you stand? Our presenting sponsor, PNC Bank. Usually, Michael brings remarks, but PNC has decided to use their time to put a spotlight on one of the nonprofit organizations that it supports. The nonprofit is Avalon Healing Center, an organization that provides compassionate and trauma-informed care to survivors of sexual assault. So we have a brief video to kick off our program.
They're sitting next to us in our church pews. They're sitting beside us in our classrooms. They are in our workplaces. Survivors are everywhere.
That this is not a side of humanity that people like to think about and they don't like to acknowledge, right? Or accept responsibility for.
This is not a me problem, it's a we problem.
We didn't know what to do, where to go, who to talk to, where to find someone.
You shouldn't have to heal alone.
Everybody goes through things, you know, and sometimes we just need somebody to hold us up for a minute and kind of point us in the right direction.
We want people to see Avalon as a safe haven, a place for them to go and feel supported.
They gave me the strength to fight back. You know, some people say, oh, call me anytime, or I'm always here for you, but they don't live up to that. The people here, when they say it, they mean it.
Change is upon us right now in a way that it hasn't been.
They know that this is a place that stands behind them and is there to uplift them.
We really are a one-stop shop for survivors in our community.
We're going to give them a sense of hope and we're going to empower them to keep going.
Thank you, PNC and Michael Bickers, for everything you do in our community. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the man with the mission to elevate conversations that impact Detroit, the CEO of Real Times Media and the publisher of the Michigan Chronicle, Mr. Hiram E. Jackson.
Just told her to keep it simple. She won't listen. Good morning. I just want to remind everybody that, you know, this is being live streamed. So if you're not supposed to be here, this is the time to slide out because somebody will see you. If you took a sick day or something, they might see you. So just walk on out very quietly. But thank you for coming this morning. This is the second installment of our 19th year of Pancakes and Politics. And I see a lot of great familiar faces in the audience this morning. Thank you for coming down. Thank you for sponsoring our program. And I especially want to thank our sponsors. You hear me say this all the time. Most of the sponsors that we have, they've been with us for 19 years. I think that deserves a round of applause. I always like to see who is a first-time attendee. Are there any first-time attendees here? Please raise your hand. Great, good, healthy number. We started these 19 years ago to bring people together. It's my belief that we have more in common than differences. We have different people from different socioeconomic status, different races, different geographies. Most of us believe in the same things. We want to raise our kids and pay our bills and stay healthy. But sometimes we find ourselves at odds over simple things. And so we thought it would be a great idea to bring our leaders to the town square, if you will, to talk about the things that impact our community and just have a conversation with them. And we have a great panel today with some of the most significant corporate leaders in our town. And to introduce them, I want to bring up my good friend and moderator for this program. Dennis has been our moderator for 6 or 7 years now. He does a great job. Please give him a round of applause as he walks to the stage.
Good morning. Is Reverend Anthony here? It's a little early. We're going to call him out when he gets here. It's my pleasure to first introduce, as we talk about big projects and a big future, we've assembled what I feel is a phenomenal and diverse panel, all from different industries, but all who are contributing very significantly to the revitalization of Detroit. People often refer to a comeback, and I always check them immediately and say Detroit hadn't gone anywhere, but this we are experiencing, absolutely. We are experiencing a continuous evolution, and the three people joining us today are participating significantly in that. First, I'm going to invite up Ryan Maibach. Ryan is president and CEO of Barton Malow Holdings. He is a fourth generation builder. He spent time in the family business at a young age. He got a construction engineering degree at Purdue University, and he joined the company as a project engineer in 1997. Ryan, please have a seat.
Thanks, Dennis.
The president and chief operating officer, and let me just say a bad sister, Joy Harris. Come on up, Joy. She is responsible for leading both the gas and the electric utility, as well as customer service, information technology, corporate services, environmental management, and the safety organization. Her career started more than 30 years ago, and we're going to touch on her story in a bit. But she earned her bachelor's degree in industrial engineering and an MBA from Wayne State, also having gone for a few years to Howard University. And she's been recognized by the Michigan Chronicle Women of Excellence. So very appropriate to have you on the stage, Joy. And Matt Moroun, come on up, Matt. Matt, your bio says you're a seasoned executive. I'm not sure if that was relevant to age or what, but Matt is a seasoned executive with over 25 years of experience in the business and transportation sectors. As a leader of the family's transportation and logistics companies, Central Transport, Ambassador Bridge, or what most of us know. He was appointed chairman of the board of the company in 2020, and he served as vice chairman and as director of Centra Inc., a holding company based in Warren. He's also a principal shareholder and otherwise involved in other family-owned businesses, including PTSI, Universal Truckload Services, and Oakland Financial Corporation. So thank you all for being here this morning.
Thanks, Dennis.
So big projects. There are a lot of them around town. You have got probably most notably today, the Hudson Tower going up. You're working on principally the $1.8 billion Henry Ford expansion. Joy, you are trying to take your business, which is in the gas and electric business, emission-free by 2050. And Matt, your family and its holdings have contributed in one way or another to many of the significant projects, both nonprofit as it relates to the riverfront and other projects like the train station and new automotive manufacturing plants that have created thousands of jobs by way of you dealing with your real estate. on that behalf. So all of you have a lot going on. Pick one. You were quoted as saying, "Real construction is like having children. You can't pick a favorite one, but my stage, my rules." So pick each of you pick one thing you're working on right now and why you're so excited about that one project. Which the ladies first.
Oh, one project? Geez, a piece. Well, I think one project that we just announced here recently, which is really exciting, is the work that we're doing at our former Trenton Channel power plant. We are now taking that power plant to the next level and bringing on battery storage. And this will be the first, I will say, industrial battery storage location that we have in the fleet. And that construction will start in earnest here shortly, but we brought down the stacks a couple of weeks ago, and now we're starting to lay the groundwork to install the battery storage there. And it will be the first, I think, a first of its kind for us, but really a game changer going forward. This is technology that I think will enable us now and long into the future. So I'm really excited to get going. I'm really excited about the work that we're doing to take advantage of assets that have served our customers well for many, many years. That plant has been in existence for over 100 years. And now we're going to take it to its future and use all of the infrastructure that is already there to make it happen. So I'm excited about it.
So Joy, as a follow-up, so talk to us who may not be as inclined in the area, in the field as you. Explain to us how that is relevant on a day-to-day basis to the business and to just the general consumer.
This is enabling us to get to our net zero targets. This location will house 220 megawatts of battery storage. And essentially, it will allow us to decarbonize the way that we generate power. And basically, the facility as it stands today was a former power plant. It served us for over 100 years. And we're going to use lithium-ion batteries there now to essentially take the electrons, store them on that location, and dispatch them to serve our communities. You can serve over 11,000 households with just that one facility, and many more once we expand it. So it's going to be a really important project for us. I think we'll learn a lot, certainly, and we're looking for other locations to do similar projects, battery storage, solar panels. We're installing quite a few solar parks over the course of the next several years. We've got at least 5 or 6 of them underway as we speak. And we've got some good partners in Barton, Malow, and others in the room that are helping us do that work. So it's going to be transformational for our industry. It's going to be transformational for our country. It's going to be transformational for our communities.
Thank you, thank you. So Ryan, no pressure to say that her project is your favorite. It's pretty good.
That would go without saying. But hey, if I could, really quick, I just would applaud Hiram, yourself, everyone that has put this together. I really appreciated Hiram's opening in that it's great to come into a room like this, see so many familiar faces, but yet meet so many new folks as well. So just the effort to bring this together, create these opportunities and forums is really fantastic. It's a great part of this community that we call home. But I would say, we often talk about the intersection of people, projects, and communities, and the positive impact that the projects that we build can have on people and communities. And what's really fun to be in a room like this as well is, I'd love it if the screens were up and we could actually look out and see projects that we're a part of, to be able to see the Hudson's Tower and to be able to contemplate, again, the positive impact that can have. But something that we've really wrestled with quite a bit is that while we love our business, two things can be true at the same time. And construction is the largest industry as a percentage of American GDP, but it's also one of the most inefficient. And so if I had to really be pinned down to one project, it's actually one out this window. It was the Exchange Tower, where we did something very different in an attempt to really drive a different value proposition in our industry. And again, we're very proud of our industry, but we're very aware that we need to be far better stewards of our clients' dollars, find better ways to be able to build solar more efficiently for DTE, among others. And so Exchange for us was a really significant step towards ideation around what could be possible.
That's fantastic. So let's touch on that for a second, because as I think you're aware, our offices in Paradise Valley are right across the street. So my colleagues and I who are here, we were able to watch the floors go up. And so for many of you who are not familiar with the Exchange building that's on Gratiot, they built each floor on the ground floor, then lifted it up. So the top floor was built first, and then they hoisted it up, and then the building was built as such until completion. Talk about what you learned from that experiment or endeavor, if you will. Is it something you would do again?
Well, it's definitely something we're very hopeful to be able to do again with partners again, even in Detroit. So there's several active projects, but again, one of the powers of connectivity in this community is we do enjoy wonderful relationships with the traditional Detroit 3, and we've built advanced manufacturing facilities, and we watch how much more efficient they are today than even 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And so we try to figure out how to apply some of that efficiency into the construction environment. And so, that process of trying to create that manufacturing environment on the floor, applying some of those advanced manufacturing techniques that we've learned from the Detroit manufacturers and bring it into construction. So it was kind of a proof of concept. If we go up the road to the Henry Ford's first manufacturing facility, compare that to what we see in the manufacturing plants today, there were dramatic improvements. So for us, Exchange was first foray into that, and we see a lot of line of sight to continued improvements, which is really exciting.
Excellent. Look forward to the next one. Matt, pick one.
Well, it's not a huge project, but it's the one I'm most proud of. So we made this agreement with the city to exchange some land next to the Ambassador Bridge. And when we were doing so, I stood before council, and we had quite a bit of community opposition to the agreement. It was called the Riverside Park Exchange. And the council, led by the president, Mary Sheffield, said to me, Matt, you have to change things with the community. You have to do something about it. You can't come before council, even if there's, I'm paraphrasing here, even if there's good merits to the agreement or the deal, you have to have a better situation, a better relationship with the community. You have to bring them into it. So for the better part of a year, folks at my company and myself spent time negotiating with the Hubbard-Richard community next to the bridge. There was a lot of past grievances and issues. We got a huge assist from certain council members, especially Council Member Gabrielle Santiago Romero and Council Member Waters. President Sheffield also had a hand in things, and the mayor also did too. This agreement that we made with Hubbard-Richard settled 10, 20, 25 years of past differences. Obviously, the bridge, #1 border crossing on the northern border, and we've had to expand many times over the years, and acknowledged some of that expansion didn't go so well with the community, right? They bore some of the brunt of that. So we had a lot of hatchets to bury. We finally made an agreement. We agreed on where we would expand in the future and where we wouldn't expand. We donated and transferred quite a bit of property that we owned near the bridge to the community for further development and housing and so on. And most importantly, we started a new relationship where at least at my company, and I love my dad's legacy. I love him very dearly, but things have to change over time. And we've got a better relationship now, and it's the agreement that I'm most proud of and how things are changing for our future.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's actually a good lead into my next question. But it's interesting you talk about your dad's legacy. I was reading in preparation for today, and one article you were talking about, I think it was 2017, about changing the narrative. And I just found it very interesting because during the height of your father's influence in entrepreneurship, there was a lot of overlap with Ed McNamara, with Coleman Young, and those were also great leaders. but had different approaches.
Yes.
So the three of them kind of hearing your narrative reminded me of each other in that regard. But sticking on the involvement with the community and touching upon something, Ryan, you said construction represents a huge chunk of GDP, and there's a responsibility to society to be better stewards of capital. And so as you all run your businesses, you have a responsibility, obviously, to your P&L, but you also have a responsibility to the community. Joy, you serve the community in your capacity. How do you balance that, the need to, be profitable, but also be good stewards in the community?
Well, I would maybe start with saying, it's fun. We're celebrating our 100th year anniversary this year, and it is always great for all of us in life, whether marriage anniversary, birthdays. We can use this concept of time to be able to reflect back on where we've been and to contemplate the future. And in doing that, for us, going back through archives, we have found that this concept of intersection of people, projects, and communities has been a part of our history for 100 years, and so many examples of that. We're also celebrating 70 years of our foundation, which has contributed tens of millions of dollars into the community over that time, which is, again, really wonderful. And so it's nice. I do think that that's a part of human experience that we all share to some degree, and I think it's also just really enjoyable when you can find ways to do things that are new or different, create opportunities, open up doors for people, help grow some businesses. Saw some partners while getting coffee, and it's just it's a part of what makes business fun. So not only the accomplishment of the tangible result of building a building, but how you go about doing it is what's so critically important. And as we reflect back on our history of projects, the ones that we're often the most proud of are the ones where the process itself was really transformational and open up doors of possibility for others.
Joy?
Yeah, I'll tell you, our mission is to improve lives with our energy, and we try to use that word energy in two ways: not only the products and services that we provide, but also the energy that we bring to the community and helping the community grow and thrive. And as a service provider, we are providing what is basic needs. Life could not exist without the products and services we provide, and we are acutely aware of that. And it comes at a cost for some of our customers who are most vulnerable, that struggle to afford their basic needs. So we have to use that as our governor as we begin to examine how we modernize the grid, how we modernize our gas systems, and we try to engage our community partners, industry partners, local businesses in helping that come to life for our customers. The fact of the matter is we got a lot of big projects. Lots of big projects that we have to undertake to keep the grid, to keep our gas system functioning well, safely, reliably for now and into the future. And we can't do all that work on our own. And so we try to enroll partners and open doors for industry partners locally here to create prosperity. And one of the ways that we're doing that is really making a strong commitment to diverse suppliers in this area and enrolling them and helping us bring about the energy future. I see several of them in the audience. And the way that we can continue to at least drive economic development in our geography is to make sure that they have a place. They have a place in the construction work that we're doing, the maintenance work that we're doing. We spend billions of dollars. We are a capital intensive industry, and we spend billions of dollars year over year. In fact, last year we spent $2.7 billion with local Michigan companies. That's how we drive prosperity in our communities. And that's how we fulfill the need to bring on jobs, to also keep our rates affordable. Let me just say that. We are using local contractors because they offer us the pricing that we need, the support that we need, and things that we know are important to our community partners. They're employing local talent. They are also reaching out to us and making sure that we're looking into the future and make sure that pipeline of talent continues to flourish by engaging young people and enrolling them in preparing themselves to take on roles in the future, whether it's construction or engineering or what have you. So I feel really proud to say that over the course of my 33 years, I've watched our company not only serve, but also make sure that we're serving in a manner that continues to drive prosperity across Michigan.
You know, Joy, I was talking to Daniel and last couple of days in preparation for this, and Ryan brought up the fact that the family has contributed a significant amount of money towards the community. You are involved and really helming a bunch of nonprofit stuff from the DTE side as well. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So, you know, one of the things that Ryan mentioned is when there's a business need and a community need, and when the two of them come together, that is where the magic happens. And over the course of the last, I think for the existence of DTE altogether, but really it's been punctuated in the last, say, 10, 15 years. We have worked in partnership with Focus Hope, with local 17 of the IBEW, really to drive what we believe is a transformational opportunity for Detroit youth in particular, Detroit citizens, in allowing them to get the skills and the talents that they need to be line workers. So we have the Tree Trim Academy that is right here in Detroit. And really where that started initially was at a correctional facility. We started this work in 2000, I believe it was in 17, where we launched a Tree Trim Academy in a prison, unheard of. And what we have seen is that, you know, returning citizens, in order to continue to allow them to flourish after they leave prison, they need gainful employment. And this was a way for us to do that in a meaningful way. And we've got examples of returning citizens that now are journeymen, leading crews on the ground, transform the way that they serve their families, they support their families. Well, we did that same thing right here in the city of Detroit, where we have the Academy for Detroit citizens, and we graduated 30 or 40 of the Detroit citizens as well. And we're seeing just really remarkable things happen. I think our first graduate, DeMarcus is now, again, leading a crew of line workers. And he has really transformed the way he supports his family. It is really life-changing when you offer someone a job, a career. It's really more than just a job. It is a career. Line workers are in high demand. Tree trim, tree interference, honestly, is the #1 driver of outages for our company. And so we need a lot of tree trimmers. And the only way for us to get those tree trimmers, and why not do it right here at home? Mm-hmm. And allow our citizens here to gain that skill that's transferable. They don't only have to trim trees for us. They can go across the country and do tree trimming. And this work is going to be in front of us for many, many years. Other places that we've invested is really around making sure our youth understand that there is a place for them in the future that we're building. And we've partnered with the city of Detroit with the Grow Detroit Young Talent. We were one of the first companies to sign on to that program. And I'm happy to say that we've had over some 800 students over the course of that program that we've supported in one way or another. And I get to meet them. I get to meet them. It's something that I'm truly passionate about. We had 2 students just this year that came and worked alongside our line workers and alongside of some of our field employees. And what they're discovering is what their future could hold. One started out with us thinking that he wanted to be a line worker. At the end of his engagement with us, he decided he wanted to be a welder. And he's pursuing that. I think what we need to do is ensure that our young people not only are their interest is piqued around what these industries can offer for them, but also that they're getting the support and the mentoring and the coaching along the way to be successful.
Thank you. Thank you. Matt, before we get your answer, I'm gonna give you a second to think about it. I'm remiss for not acknowledging, if we have any public officials, elected officials in the House, please stand up and be recognized. Thank you. So Matt, balancing running a profitable business with being a good steward of the community's interest.
Right. So I think everyone always thinks of my family and our business about the Ambassador Bridge, but as far as employment goes, the greater part of our company's employment is truck drivers, warehouse workers, dockmen, and now concrete construction workers. We employ about 3,000 blue-collar jobs in the city. And I hope what everyone can see here is that our business is a blue-collar business providing high-rate hourly wages. DTE is a blue-collar business, obviously construction, blue-collar business. These are the jobs that the community needs most. And I want to, like I discussed earlier with our agreement with the Hubbard Richard neighborhood next to the bridge, we're turning over a new page at our company to deal with the community differently in a more positive way and bring them in. But the most important obligation that all of us have to the community, number one, is to provide good jobs. And we can't lose focus on that. What Joy was able to describe with the returning citizens and the tree cutters, I take my hat off to that. I don't have anything that good, but we're working very hard. We started a new ready-mix concrete business. My son in particular has been focused on that. We started it in Detroit. We started it in 2020. It now has $100 million of revenue. We employ about 180 people in that business, and the vast majority of them work in and out of the city, but mostly in the city, and they're union jobs, and they pay $30+ an hour. And that's the most important type of contribution we can make to the community.
That's fantastic. You know, you've mentioned your father, and we talked about him a bit. Now you're mentioning your son. And we, of course, so Ryan and I, our fathers were very good friends, both at one point chaired the board of the chamber, and we're friends, and we both have chaired the chamber, and our kids are friends. They played on the tennis teams and the swim teams together in high school. So let's talk a little bit about generational pressure and legacy. And I've got an interesting question because I read something that you said, Joy, in that regard. But talk about the pressure associated with coming in your instance, a fourth generation leader. There are obviously expectations, probably some good, some bad, from those around, you know, the kid coming into the business. Talk about what that experience was like.
Well, hey, would acknowledge, very grateful for that legacy of relationship and friendship that we have. And again, I would just connect that back to there's just, you know, so many in this room. And it's just, I think, such a wonderful part of the experience here in Southeast Michigan and Metro Detroit. But, you know, it's interesting when you talk about generations, there's a lot of data on failure rates, if you will, especially of multi-generational businesses. So, you know, in one vein you could say pressure, another you could say that, you know, the probability wasn't really very, I mean, how best to say this, the stats were pretty high that I would do a pretty bad job. So, you know, it's, to a degree that actually takes a little bit of pressure off. And so, in a way, you know, you can talk about pressure and expectations. We all have that, whether, again, it's family, whether it's, you know, implied or inferred expectations based on the school you graduate from. You know, I think changing paradigms is a part of, again, I think a common shared human experience. And so for me, there were certainly some of that. There's tremendous opportunity as well. I mean, I'm sure you benefited as well from dinner talk and conversations at home. in just wrestling with a lot of these complex issues, not just business issues, but how to do right by people. And so I would say that I was certainly the beneficiary, much like you, of just a really wonderful father. And I learned some terrific lessons from him, from a grandfather. And so I was given a lot of opportunity. And I would say if there's any then pressure, there's associated responsibility with that opportunity to do right by it. And so time will tell. Final chapters, I think, are yet to be written, but
you're doing all right so far.
I haven't run it into the ground yet. So, yeah.
Matt,
you don't always enjoy the pressure, but the pressure's on. It's on me. It's on my daughter, my son, my wife, our whole family. For the most part, you look at it, and at least I do, and I feel very blessed. And as long as you remind yourself of that, then just keep pushing.
Fair. Well said. Well said. As Black folks, just statistically, we don't have as many multi-generational businesses for a multitude of reasons. I think everyone understands. There are a couple of people in the room. I saw Carla Walker earlier. She's got kids that work in the business. Larry Brinker Jr. is here, and his father started an amazing business. He's a second generation. Joy, you said something interesting in an interview. It may have been with the Chronicle, talking about that your father was the best non-engineer school engineer you'd ever met, and that both he and your mom inspired you to focus particularly on the sciences and the maths.
Yeah.
And if you all don't really know the whole story, at 15, Joy was at DTE, then Michigan Consolidated Gas, shadowing executives on Fridays as part of her education. She went to Mercy High School. And so you, unlike these two cats up here, you're paving your own path here, and you've done a remarkable job. But because of that, you have a pressure to make sure that you look behind and bring people behind you. So talk about that pressure and the pressure of being a Black woman in a predominantly white male environment.
Yes. And I will say this, shout out to my parents, because I know they're probably watching as we speak. And yesterday they celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary. So really, I don't consider it pressure. I think it's an honor, and it's something that I'm very passionate about. Yes, my father was a girl's dad. I was right at his hip as he was working on whatever you call it in the home. He could fix anything, very mechanically inclined. And what my parents did for me, I'm trying to do for other students, is make sure that they have the opportunity, one, to understand what it means to be an engineer, what it means to work in the sciences, but two, to know intimately what they want to do when they grow up, and have the opportunity to explore by way of whether it's shadowing, whether it's working with us. We bring on co-op students, we bring on kids from GDYT, and I make it a point to engage them and to tell them my story so that they understand that I started right where they are. Didn't really know, because I didn't know any engineers. There were no engineers in my family. What I knew is I liked math, I liked science, and I could take things apart and put them back together again. And so my parents got me involved in, and I'll give a big shout out to the Detroit Area Pre-College Engineering Program. That program is it's been in existence for over 40 years, and its mission is just that, to expose our youth, underrepresented youth, to the sciences. So I use my time, my talent, and my treasure to make sure that I'm helping students have a similar experience. And not all of them will become engineers. Not all of them will enter into the sciences, but at least they have the opportunity to explore it and determine their own path. So we're trying to enroll many others to do the same. And in fact, one of the things I'm working on is to create a shadow day. That's really what started me at DTE, is shadowing those engineers. I mean, those same engineers, if I can tell you, those same engineers, when I went back as a co-op, would help me with my homework. Okay, help me with my homework. One of our DAPSEP kids, his name is Caden. Caden is a rising star. He actually won an award from DAPSEP. And in fact, his grandmother just called me 2 days ago and said, because when he won, I said, Caden, I want you to come to work with me, because he said his dream job is to work at DTE. Well, I was done at that point. Okay. I was like, okay, we're gonna make that happen. So Caden will be shadowing me at our offices here shortly, but I don't want it just to be Caden. I want other students to have a similar experience. Really, what we need to do, and I think we have underestimated the impact of the pandemic on our young people. We really have, and we really won't know the full implications of the pandemic for many years to come. But I think our kids need more than just examples. They need hope, they need inspiration, they need guidance, and they need more than just their family members to just wrap their arms around them. So if I could ask everyone in this room to do one thing, take 2 steps closer to our young people. Take 2 steps closer to our young people. Invite them in. Show them that there is a place for them in the future that we're building, and they need to prepare themselves for it, and we have to help them. And that's what I believe part of my role is in the capacity I serve in at DTE, but also just as I make my way across the community.
Thank you, thank you. Just as a heads up, if anyone has any questions, there's a microphone in the back of the room right here. And so we're going to invite everyone who has a question to go to the microphone. And you guys got to beat Rochelle because she's already heading over there. But I've got, while she's making her way there, I've got a question. You know, it's interesting, and things happen in a cyclical fashion many times. And, you know, a few years ago now, the George Floyd incident occurred, and there was a lot of corporate promises made. There were a lot of policy changes that evolved out of that. But we know that oftentimes those promises are made and there's some action, and then a few years go by and then people start to forget and things fade away. You know, my question for the three of you is, in your organizations, what are you doing to institutionalize, you know, equity, inclusion, opportunity for folks, so that in the institutionalization of this is important from my standpoint, because if you do it that way, then it is not your personal mission or your administration's mission or your generation's mission. It will be something that will carry on. And so talk to us about what you're doing to make sure that equity and inclusion and opportunity will persist within your organizations in the years to come.
Yeah, I would say that I think one of the great things about being a private organization is that we don't have to undergo some of the same scrutiny that public companies may have to. And I think that there are certain things, the element of time takes a bit of a different form in a private organization than public organization. And so you can lay groundwork that can transcend time. And I think to your point on cyclicality, a challenge that we often encounter in our industry is there are significant ebbs and flows in construction. And in fact, during the Great Recession, you know, it was about 45% of the construction workforce left the industry across the board, from trades to engineers to professional management, et cetera. And so we have really since then, it was a significant challenge for us then to try to ramp up to some of the growth opportunities that occurred. And a big part of what we realized then is the need to make sure that we could mitigate some of that cyclicality to the degree that we can, and make sure that workforce attraction tools that were started, projects create great opportunities to draw people into the construction workforce, to make sure that while we can leverage the visibility of a Little Caesars Arena or a Hudson's, but make sure that the underlying infrastructure to create community engagement, to bring people into the trades, transcends those projects, transcends time, transcends an element of sort of what's in the heat of the moment, if you will. And I'm very proud of the fact that I would say for 10 years, there's been a sustained focus that has transcended be it project focus. It's been a very steady marathon, if you will, of attraction into construction trades. And I think that much like some of the examples that Joy had offered and some of the opportunities that Matt had spoken to, there's some really wonderful stories of introductions of careers that can open up the doors of possibilities. Vast majority of construction firms, you mentioned Larry Brinker. Larry Brinker Sr. started as a carpenter, learned a trade, and then opened up a business that became incredibly successful. Trades is a great point of entry into entrepreneurship. And so there's some really wonderful examples of that we can be able to point to over the last 10 years. And it's really exciting to contemplate what that becomes 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road. So we're ensuring that consistency is there outside of the economic cycles or societal cycles, I think is critically important.
Joy?
Yeah, we've been around for, this year, I think we celebrate our gas company's 175th anniversary. And again, I'll mention this again, products and services we provide help enable life. We will continue to have opportunities to engage our community because we're part of the fabric of the community. When it comes to equity, it's more than just opening doors. It's enabling people to walk through those doors. And so we've made that commitment and built infrastructure around that commitment that regardless of who is leading the company, that infrastructure will remain. And we have great partners like Larry. We have great partners like Dina here that are working with us to construct the new future, the energy future for DTE, but we also have councils, people from the community advising us. We're establishing partnerships so that those that want to enter into any kind of business that supports DTE, we've got a network of supporters that can help them. We've got the Diversity Council. We also engage in a host of other industry councils that are doing the same thing, ensuring that diverse suppliers are getting not only the opportunity, but the support that they need to be successful going forward. So that will transcend time. That is infrastructure that will remain long into the future. And we've got really great people to help enable us. It's not just DTE at the table. It is also the partners telling us what we need to do to make it easier for those diverse suppliers to do business with us. And then we're putting it into contracts. We're asking those that do work for us that may not have businesses headquartered in the city of Detroit to plant themselves here and put it in the contract and make sure that that's something that is sustained throughout their engagement. So I'm really, really proud of that work, and I know that it is going to continue.
Wonderful. Matt?
So I have a statistic for I mentioned that we employ about 3,000 folks in the city limits of Detroit. And if you include the Hamtramck and Highland Park neighborhoods, we employ, of those 3,000 people, about 65% live in those city limits. So I feel pretty good about that if you're breaking it down into statistics. At our headquarters, the majority of the headcount at our headquarters is women, not men. That said, we are in the trucking business, and as you might realize, that truck drivers are predominantly male, and we've got some challenges in that respect, and we're working on them. So, work in progress is what I'd say, Dennis.
Good, thank you. Oh, Rochelle. That's not Rochelle. You beat her.
I am not Rochelle. I am not as beautiful as she is. So I'm Jeremy Allen, the executive editor of the Michigan Chronicle. We're going to be taking some questions here. We want to know a little bit about who you are and why you're coming up to the mic to ask these questions. So introduce yourself. And this is truly about making Pancakes and Politics a community conversation. And so that's why we want to give you guys the floor and the opportunity to ask these questions. So now, Rochelle.
Thanks, Jeremy.
I'm Rochelle Riley. I'm Director of Arts and Culture for the City of Detroit in the Mayor's Office. I was recently shadowed by a Wayne State University dance student, and when I asked what she was going to do after graduation, she said teach or leave because there's no professional dance company in the city, a city-based dance company. So in addition to finding funding to support a professional dance company, which I need to do, I'd like you to talk a little bit about what your companies do to support arts and culture and the most creative workforce in America. Thank you.
I'll jump in. Through our foundation, that is one of the pillars around arts and culture. So whether it's the DIA or the Detroit Symphony Orchestra or youth programs like the Sphinx, we are committed to support those organizations financially. Many of our executives serve in leadership capacities on the boards of directors for those organizations, so they're helping usher in new projects, new programs, and it continues to be a priority for us to make sure that not only the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure continues to thrive in and around the city, but also the culture that we are so proud of thrives as well.
Ryan?
Yeah, I would say that art and culture can take a variety of different forms, and in our how it touches us most closely would be through architecture and design. And while we are a construction firm, we're a construction firm that values great design. We really are attracted to projects that not only, again, have an impact in their function, but have an impact in their position and what they represent. And that can manifest itself through architecture in so many different ways. And so we're very supportive of the design and architecture community, even though that's not necessarily directly core to what we do. And we're very big fans of great design.
Well, I appreciate Rochelle very much. Ballet is not my thing. But as far as culture and art, probably the most important thing that my company has been engaged in that respect is the improvement and development of Riverside Park. I think it's maybe the second most or first most popular park in the city. It doesn't have youth sports, so it doesn't attract quite the number of folks and kids that some of the other parks do, where they have regular baseball games. But it developed from basically the 7th level of hell into one of the prettiest parks right next to the bridge. And I'm very proud of that. And it's close to arts and culture. So that's my best answer.
Thanks, Matt. We have another question.
Hi, good morning. I'm Gwen Thomas, and I am the executive director of a nonprofit, Fresh Perspectives College and Career Readiness. So a comment and a question. Happy to hear that all of you are talking positive about your DEI programs, and we certainly hope that program continue in your corporations and you realize the importance of that in small business development. I have to direct this question to Matt.
Uh-oh.
You know, I'm concerned. I'm a former resident of the DMV. And so with the Key Bridge, having that disaster just a few weeks ago, I'd like to find out where your company is and mindset in the security of your bridges and how that could affect our community should we have some kind of disaster like that, because we know we have not begun to see what the disaster will unveil in the Baltimore area. And so if you will share with us what kind of thoughts you have behind the security of the Metro Detroit area should some disaster happen in our area.
Thank you for your question. It's very important. I'm not going to say everything's fine, we don't need to look at it. The Key Bridge is a wake-up call. It's important to reevaluate everything from scratch. I read an article in one of the 2 major papers that said that about 20 freighters a year or lake freighters a year lose steering at some point of their voyages. There are water threats to bridges, and there are also land threats to bridges. And right now, I'll tell you, just to be honest, we're going through a top to bottom reevaluation of things. We had a blockade at the bridge just a few years ago, the first time ever in Windsor, where the entire bridge was shut down for the better part of a week. There are new threats, and we need to respond and take precautions in new ways. We're working with Customs and Border Patrol and Canada Border Services Agency, as well as Homeland Security. And they're asking for and working with us at developing new plans.
Thank you. Jeremy, any other questions?
Not a question. I just wanted to remind people that if you do have a question, though, come up here and line up, and then we'll get you right at the mic.
I think here's one.
Buenos dias. Good morning, everyone.
Buenos dias.
I'm Mary Carmen Munoz from LACED, Latin Americans for Social and Economic Development, located in Southwest Detroit. We are the oldest Latino advocacy agency in Southeastern Michigan, and we have worked with both DTE and the Ambassador Bridge through very tough times and some very good times. And I will tell you that in both situations, we have been very fortunate to work with team members from DTE and the bridge that are open to dialogue. Matt, you have brought a new refreshing change in attitude to the communication at the bridge, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Joy, as you know, we're very committed to working with DTE on your continued efforts to improve the grid in Southwest Detroit. Southwest Detroit has one of the largest populations, not only of immigrants, but of a growing population, very, very diverse. Over the past 10 years, we have seen so many changes, including new arrivals. And I guess my question reflects how we can bring those new arrivals into those great job opportunities that are on the ground level to work their way up into more profitable jobs for themselves to truly achieve that American dream. Matt, especially with trucking, many of those young people that are coming in do trucking and or construction for you, sir. And Joy, I know that we have a great program with the high schools and with our City of Detroit team members to bring the young kids into DTE and those jobs. So Matt and sir, pertaining to the construction, how can we get them more involved, the newcomers and the young people?
Thank you.
Do you want to jump? I can jump in.
Please.
One of the I think a key enabler, and one of the things that we're working on is making sure that we're going out to the communities and ensuring that the young people, the new arrivals, they know what the opportunities are, but they're prepared for them. So if they need a driver's license, how do you help those folks get a driver's license? Because to be a line worker, you need a CDL. And many people don't have driver's license. So we have launched programs like the Road to Restoration. If you don't have a driver's license, we've set up clinics all over the state, I think 37 of them in total, where we are allowing folks to get their driver's license. If they have some kind of payment that they have to make, or there's a reason why their driver's license has been revoked, we afford them the opportunity to clear that up at a one-stop shop. And we're working with the state, we're working with Miller Canfield, and we have our own attorneys there to really help people get through that obstacle, which will then enable them to be available to take on these jobs, whether they be in trucking or any of our line worker jobs. The other place that I think that's an opportunity is just really getting them exposed to the, I will say the IBAW or some of the other union organizations, so that they understand, what does it take for me to become a journeyman? And making connections with some of the ground level team members that we have working in this space to mentor and coach them will enable them to prepare for the testing that is required, and also prepare for some of the mechanical aptitude examinations that go along with these jobs. So it really is around building a network of support that will aid anyone, really anyone, but particularly those that are likely not familiar with all of the tools and techniques that one needs to have to navigate some of these challenges. That's what we can do to support the work that you have, Mary.
Gracias. And by the way, we are having a license restoration clinic June 18th at La Sed. So
There you
anyone that
go.
you know that needs to have some counsel on restoring their license, please call La Sed. Thank you.
Yeah, and if I could just add, I mean, I applaud a lot of the work that you're doing. And I mean, this may not be as direct of an answer to the question, but just more of a color commentary on a little bit of personal frustration with just the dialogue and the discourse on immigration. Immigration has been such a long part of our country's history, and it is a little bit head scratching. Immigrants may have needs, but there's contribution into the economy and society. They become customers. They become, it is such a logical add to the economic ecosystem of this country. And whether you're coming with skills, coming without skills, I'm certainly personally believe we should welcome one and all into our country. It is a bit head scratching. So it's wonderful to know that there are organizations like yours that are making that process so much easier.
So again, yes, we need to do more training and make things even more accessible. But again, the folks on this stage, construction, tree trimmers, line workers, truck drivers, warehousemen, these are very good jobs, often union jobs, often pay more than $30 an hour. These are excellent careers. You can make lots of money. I understand that a lot of young people don't necessarily like the idea of being a blue-collar worker, but it's a great life. It's what our city was built on. And you can show up for work in Detroit, you can do this job, you can make a lot of money, and you can go home to your family at the end of the day. And I know everyone knows this, but we got to keep pushing it.
Yeah.
I think we're going to try to keep the answers quick to the following questions because we only have a few more minutes, but we've got Country Day students, Ryan, here that come to every one of our breakfasts, and I see a student with a question.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Maddie Bartanian, and I'm a senior. I think I speak for a lot of high schoolers when we say that being here and looking ahead at the future is very intimidating. So I was wondering, for young people, how can we start the conversations to learn about job shadow opportunities and internships, to learn about these careers in these industries that you guys promote?
Well, I mean, Maddie, I would start by saying I give you a lot of credit. I think when I was a senior in high school in a room like this, the prospect of walking up to a microphone would have been incredibly intimidating. So, I mean, one, I think even to answer to your question, the fact that you're leaning into attending an event like this, being game to come up and engage in the dialogue is an enormous start in and of itself. And I'm really encouraged as a parent of teenagers and young folks, just seeing so many things, much like what you're doing, that I know I wouldn't have done at a similar age. And I think that there's so much to be encouraged about with your generation coming into the workforce, going through school, and really pushing, leaning into issues that need to be addressed in society and in this world. And business can play a tremendous role in that. So just more of an affirmation of you and your peers being here as anything. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll offer, ask. You got a whole room full of people right now. Ask. And just, you had the courage to come to the mic, have the same courage to ask. I have yet to say no to anyone that has asked. I hate to say that in an open forum. I was in a lineup of people. But seriously, the opportunity that I had, it came by way of me just inquiring and asking if it would be possible to shadow someone at then Mishcon. The other thing I would say is talk to the counselors that you have and make sure that they know that this is of a particular interest. It's a need that's going unmet, and therefore there needs to be infrastructure programming around it. So there are partnerships that can be established with school systems so that you don't have to do all of the legwork, that it's somewhat done in advance, and we can be very planful and schedule these events. Just know this, I'm planning a shadow day at DTE, and we are going to invite students in to work with our engineers, to work with our lines folks, to spend the day just understanding what it means to work at a company like ours. And I'm really, really hopeful that you'll take us up on that offer.
Yes, thank you so much.
We have time for one more question.
I do not have a question. I just wanted to say thank you all for this time. I am Mavita Burris with I'm saying with PNC. Oh, I got a new career. I am Mavita Burris with Avalon Healing Center, and I am a guest and a partner of PNC. And many of our partners are in here. We just thank you for supporting nonprofits, for being community invested, and also for supporting survivors in our region and helping us fight human trafficking. We thank you for that.
Can I offer maybe just one really quick twist?
Absolutely.
Something that Joy just said. I know you said we need to keep things brief, but I would also say, in addition to the shadow opportunities, there's terrific shadow opportunities that aren't just limited to students or to young folks. I was a beneficiary of being invited into a DTE leadership team as through a conversation at an event like this, it got into something as granular as meeting management and how do you go about doing it and comparing some notes. And so just opportunities that we have to learn from each other beyond just an event like this, to actually be in each other's boardrooms or meeting rooms to understand and grow the competencies of each of our different businesses. I think there's some really terrific opportunities for that as well. So
we have 4 minutes left, and I'll be brief in my question, and you guys be brief with your answers. But it's interesting that you talked about learning from each other. My question is, COVID will continue to be with us for some time now, but COVID is a crisis. We hope it's behind us. But as 3 leaders that had to manage through that very trying time, having to manage employees, having to deliver service, you couldn't shut your businesses down. You had to deliver service. How did you manage through that? And even more importantly, let me ask you a different question. What did you learn most from leading through that period that you take forward with you now?
I would say, number one, something known before but reinforced through COVID is just the value of authenticity. I think if anyone said through that time that they knew the future or even knew what next week was going to be, and so maybe to a fault, we were over communicative, incredibly transparent, and just even saying at times, especially back in March of 20, we don't know what's next, but hey, we're all in this together and we'll get through it together. And we were able to survive and really thrive. COVID was a crisis and there were enormous pain that came from it, but leveraging the power of human potential was incredible for us in our business and instituting practices that we have maintained to this day. But it came through being open and transparent and overly communicative.
Joy?
Yeah, in addition to that, I think it is the partnerships and the collaboration beyond our 4 walls that really enabled us. We worked together with those that were facing some of the similar challenges that were outside of our core business and tried to share our practices with them. No one, again, knew all of the answers, but we tried to ensure that small businesses in particular were afforded the opportunity to learn from big companies like ours. And we tried to also ensure that we maintain those connections after COVID. So I think collaboration with community, collaboration with small business, ensuring that that infrastructure is maintained and those relationships are maintained is the really key message from COVID for us.
And Matt?
It's not really an ideology, but forgive me, I don't want to talk about COVID anymore. But I will say to that young, smart lady that from Detroit Country Day, number one, stay in Michigan, stay in Detroit. The opportunities are here.
So it is 8:58. I think we did pretty well up here. I see Hiram's coming up here right now. So I just want to thank you all for being here for Forum 2. I thought that the three of you were amazing. The conversation was fluid, and I think I know I took some nuggets out of it. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate everyone for joining us this morning. Sorry for the construction, but the draft is coming. It's going to all be worth it, they tell me. So everyone enjoy the balance of your day and have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Okay.
Good job.
My man, thank you.
Audio. So you've been watching Pancakes and Politics live here on Local 4 Plus. I'm Christy McDonald. We're going to have more when we come right back. Stay with us. Another mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, have anybody, but.
Are we out? He also wants to counsel. No, we have this Fred Durhall. I just don't know about him. They've asked me to Yep. We can do him now if you want. I'll grab Sheila. Mike, ready? Mike, are you ready?
1 minute. Hi. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you.
All right, so come here with me, and we'll get to pick up that mic.
Okay.
And you can just like put it right about here. I know you're okay with the microphone, but
maybe I've done this a couple times, but not that many. Just a little bit.
I know, but
make sure my tie's on straight.
it looks good. We matched. I mean,
Listen,
I called. I said, "Wear the orange."
I knew you were going to be here, and I got the memo. I didn't want to disappoint.
All right, so we're coming back here in how long? So you can just talk for a real quick squeeze.
C123, Councilman Fred Durhall, FREDDURHAL.
Okay, yeah, I'm ready.
So am I going to be looking directly at you?
Yeah, we'll just be having a conversation. Here on a Friday morning, I'm Christy McDonald. Thanks so much for joining me. We are on the 16th floor of One Campus Martius, and joining me now is Detroit City Councilman Fred Durhall from the 7th District. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you as well.
All right, well, let's talk about the conversation that went on here today. And again, talking about growth, building, technology, infrastructure with Ryan Maibach from Barton, Malow, Joy Harris from DTE Energy, and of course, Matt Moroun from the Ambassador Bridge. Why don't you go ahead and tell me, Fred, what you took from this here this morning?
I think that, you know,
You can bring that mic up a
one
little
of the
bit
most
more.
important things that we've taken is that we're just continuing to move Detroit forward. When we talk about infrastructure, and it really involves having strong companies who have roots planted here, that have great ideas, that want to keep Detroiters part of building that infrastructure. And so what I took today from the conversation is that we've got to keep the momentum that we're on right now and continue to include our Detroiters in there, but also just develop some synergy amongst different companies and coming together with the same type of mission.
Two things that really stand out to me when you talk about working in partnership with a lot of these companies. It's Detroit City Council that sometimes also has to hold these companies accountable when it comes to projects and making sure that the community can benefit from those projects as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the accountability factor is huge. Folks want to know when these huge developments come through, how are their tax dollars are going to be spent.
Absolutely.
Are they going into projects that are going to bring some level of jobs here, and commitments are going to be met. So we work on holding them accountable, but there's a process, there's an ordinance that we have, a community benefits ordinance that allows for that. But I think most of it comes as well as just setting the tone and building a culture here. You know, public-private partnerships are so important to continuing to build this city forward, and I think we're doing a great job right now.
Let's talk a little bit about jobs. And I think that that was a lot of the main conversation that was happening here today about job opportunity and job training. Do you believe that there are enough programs right now that Detroiters know where they can go to be able to get job training, and but also get those wraparound services to help them while they are training for a job to be able to care for their lives and their children?
So as a public official, I'll tell you, there are never enough jobs.
Yeah.
Obviously, jobs help with the stability of our neighborhoods. Job helps, you know, they help our economy, helps us grow our revenue here. So there'll never be enough jobs. But what I will say is we are getting to the point where we are starting to see more training opportunities. A lot of that starts with our unions that we have throughout the city of Detroit, apprenticeship programs, things of that nature, connecting them with these companies as well. So as we continue to move forward and we have these tough discussions with some of our companies, we also want to have the ability to bring other folks up. I think one of the things that you stated was, do folks know about these opportunities?
Right.
And so in some of the recent developments in these community benefit ordinances, folks wanted to have what are called opportunity centers, where members of the public can walk directly into those centers and get access to those jobs. You know, you can have the jobs, but you've got to have the access. And I think that's sometimes where the barrier is, and we're working to bring that barrier down.
All right, before I let you go, Councilman, I got to talk about the budget and the conversations that you all are having right now. When we take a look back, 11 years since the city going into bankruptcy and emerging now and strong fiscally, which is such a huge bit of news here. But where you guys stand right now with some of the tougher conversations with budget?
Well, so we just passed our 11th consecutive balanced budget. You may have seen the news a couple of days ago. S&P has given us a credit rating upgrade as well. We're in investment grade status. I think it's just really indicative to Detroit moving forward. You know, we talk about the Phoenix somewhat rising from the ashes. I always say we want to make sure it doesn't crash into the window. So that path that we're on, we have to continue to be fiscally stable. There'll be tough decisions that we make, but I think particularly what you have seen in this last 10 years is our city grow. We're starting to make our retiree pension payments back on time now, but we're still investing in our city. We're still investing in our infrastructure. We're still investing in our people. We've got a long way to go, but I think we're going to be fine. When I was in the legislature 10 years ago, folks would have told you that they thought there was no way Detroit would be on the recovery path that is on now. And now we are here, and you are now starting to see the rebirth, if you will, of Detroit.
All right, Detroit City Councilman Fred Durhill, it's always good to see you. Thanks so much for being with me.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to have more from Pancakes and Politics here live in downtown Detroit in just a moment, so you got to stay with me. We'll be right back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was great. It's
Thank
good to
you.
see
Great
you.
questions.
All right.
As you can see down here, the board not being on, we started at 7:30.
How's your daughter doing?
Great. She's living now in New York.
Okay.
She's a head of global communications for StockX. So she's like
Phenomenal.
Right. It's good. It's good.
Good. How often do you get out to see her?
I try to work it out. We're together one way or another once a quarter or
Good.
so. So I'll go there for Mother's Day.
Nice.
That'll be fun.
Good.
We're gonna go see the Broadway show, The Patriots. It's the thing about Putin. I think that'll be interesting. Right.
Keeping it light. Of
That's
course,
exactly.
on-
Yeah, that's true.
on a Mother's Day weekend. All right, come a little closer to me.
Sure.
And you can put that mic a little closer to you.
Okay.
There you go. So, and you know how this goes. It's a good crowd.
Oh yeah, it's very
Yeah.
good. Well, yeah. And this, as first I've been in this venue, it's very good.
Right, isn't it?
Right.
Welcome back to our live coverage here of Pancakes and Politics, which is the speaker series the Michigan Chronicle has put on for 19 years. And we're partnering up with them to be able to expand the reach of this so more people can see the conversations and feel like they're in on these community conversations that are so important. With me now is Sheila Cockrell, of course, former Detroit City Council member. Sheila, sitting here and listening to the speakers today, to Joy and to Ryan and to Matt Moroun. What kind of ran through your mind and what were you looking for?
Well, two things. One, for me, it was interesting because, in a sense, it's a generational shift. I mean, this is the next generation stepping up and being at the helm of these important institutions. Is one thing, and then secondly, there's an authenticity about the responses from corporate leaders that, to me, is something that's evolved and changed over the years.
You know what? That's really interesting that you say that. Yeah, there's a little bit more like we need to lean into some different things and
Right.
and more less canned answers. I feel
Yes,
as we've seen a lot of these conversations
got it.
play out over the last 20
Right.
years in Detroit.
100%, and that's really for me the key thing is this generation of leadership that's represented here actually is going to make a difference, make it work better, make opportunities more available, create inclusion, create equity, and it's not just lip service.
Let me ask you this, because you were on city council, obviously, when Matt Moroun's father was in charge of the enterprise here.
Yes.
And even Matt talked about today how it was a very different world, and they didn't do a great job when it came with working with the city and working with the community as well. And kind of give me your input on hearing that from him.
Again, it's a generational shift. I was on council during some of the big adventures with Matty Moroun when they had control of the train station and decided they weren't going to do anything with it, and then they wanted to give it back to the city. My thing was, not on my watch, because you're just giving ownership of an eyesore. But Matty's approach was, I think, that of an immigrant breaking in, and take no prisoners. I've got to do what I want to do. Matt is in a different space, and I think it's going to be important to watch the how things evolve with the Hubbard Richard community and the Maroon and the Ambassador Bridge, because it's rocky even on good days.
Yeah. You know what? I take a look outside again. Here we're on the 16th floor, and it's an amazing view. Talk to me about what goes through your mind when you see the changing skyline of the city of Detroit and everything that has happened here in the last 10 years.
Well, I think it even goes back a little farther than that. I mean, I was on city council in that era. The only major developments I think were happening was building the 3 casinos and the 2 stadiums. That is really the foundation on which this growth and expansion in the city has taken place. It's good. I mean, there have been there's always, issues one place or another. But at the end of the day, the changing skyline is important. And what's also important is that the emphasis that the city has put on the Duggan administration on making sure that Detroiters are in on the action, our jobs are available, small businesses are connected up. I think it's really it's admirable.
But from everything that you've experienced and what you see now, what are the cautionary statements from you in terms of, okay, here we are now, what do we need to watch out and be careful for and to remember while we're continuing with this growth?
Well, I think particularly in southeastern Michigan, there's the unresolved, worked out issue of racial segregation. I mean, that's always here, where people are in a different place on race than they were white people, particularly. But it's still a dynamic that is at the foundation that at any moment can become a real problem. We need look no further than the national scene to know that race is not a resolved issue in this country.
Okay. All right, Sheila. So what do you take from today? Who are you going to go talk to after this? I always love looking at the conversations and the people who are talking right now. I'm like, I wonder what's happening over there. What are they talking about? Yeah.
I want to talk to Dennis. I want to find out if Dennis is going to run for mayor.
Ooh, and then will you report back to me?
I sure
and we
will.
can break that here. All right. Sheila Cockrell, former city council member. It's good to see you. And thanks so much for joining me.
Absolutely.
All right. We're going to be back with more conversations. Stay with me. Okay. Come back and tell me. Yes. Hey, welcome back on this Friday morning to our live coverage of Pancakes and Politics from downtown Detroit. Johnny Turner just joined me right now from Black Tech Saturdays. It's good to see you.
It's good to be here.
All right, so tell me what you thought of the conversation this morning.
Honestly, I was really happy to hear it. I love the intentional focus on how we're bringing the next generation into it and how we're keeping a focus on keeping people here in Detroit and Michigan. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and what are some of the things that you're hearing from people about, and especially when you're working in tech, like, you know what, I got to go. I got to go to California. I got to go to Boston. I have to relocate in different places.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with some of what we talked about today, which is where are the opportunities? How are we showing people the opportunities to get involved and see themselves in the future?
So talk to us a little bit about Black Tech Saturdays and how long this has been going on.
Yeah, so Black Tech Saturdays has been happening for a little under a year. We hit a year mark April 29th.
Congratulations,
Yes,
it's coming up.
It's coming up. And we have grown from 5 people to, on average, we have about 500-600 people out on a Saturday to go through workshops, to learn about tech, and
All right.
really helping each other get further faster.
Back up. So tell me how this all started and what the idea was.
So in the beginning, it was just a couple of tech founders really helping each other apply for grants, help each other do some development. And then one day we said, maybe there should be more of us here. And we opened it up, and then we were surprised how many people from universities from around the state were building in tech, working in tech. We have game developers that were like, we didn't know that you all were this big. And
we're like, well,
it's
we
just
didn't know you
grown.
were out there.
We didn't
so-
know you were there. And we all kind of did. We didn't know we were here. And it's grown. And the beautiful part is not only are we attracting people from all over the state, we have people coming from all around the country to come and check out what's going on here. We have people who routinely drive up from Tennessee, Ohio, Indiana, just to be with us on a Saturday. It's beautiful.
So talk to me a little bit about in terms of diversity and when you think about a lot of workers in tech right now, and sometimes it's not always Black faces that you see, and saying, you know, we got to be able to make sure that people feel that there's a pathway and that they've got help and that we can talk together about the problems that we're facing.
Yes. Honestly, that's the most important part. One of the things that we find beyond the programming, just having that space for people to not feel alone anymore, to get out of their silos and feel that there is a welcome space. It's been amazing and is empowered by so many organizations jumping in and saying, we agree this is important. New lab at Michigan Central has changed. We have lots of support from the Gilbert family of companies and Song Foundation and saying, we agree, and have opened up doors for people to go on and get multi-million-dollar contracts, other grant opportunities, and lots of job opportunities. And it's fun to see the city kind of wrapping their arms around us.
Yeah.
We're the new kid, and they're just thrusting us up and saying it's going to happen.
All right. So when is the next opportunity for people?
The next opportunity is actually tomorrow.
Oh,
we have
there you go.
Felicia Hatcher. She runs Black Ambition Prize, which is an organization Pharrell Williams started that gives away $2 to $3 million a year. We've always routinely had somebody from Detroit win. Even the first ever year, the grand prize was a Detroiter. He won $1 million. So they're coming tomorrow to talk about the competition, to share the story, and really like see what's going on in Detroit. I think a lot of people don't understand. We might be an emerging tech ecosystem, but there's so much talent here.
Yeah, so much talent, but you know what? It's access to capital too, though, that is so important.
It's really important. That's the most important part, and we're excited. We do a lot to make sure people are ready, and I think we're going to have another big winner this year.
All right, Johnny Turdage from Black Tech Saturdays.
Thank
It's
you,
good to
thank
see
you.
you.
It's
Really
good to see
appreciate
you.
your time. All right, stay with us. We're streaming more live conversations from Pancakes and Politics here in downtown Detroit on this Friday morning. That's right. And join you guys tomorrow,
Yes,
right?
I
Good
love
stuff.
it. I love it.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay with me.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Thanks. Good luck. I'll see you again, okay?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
That's great.
She wants it.
Good.
So, all right,
Oh,
well, we're
good.
coming back here
Okay.
live. Welcome back here on this Friday morning of our coverage of Pancakes and Politics that the Michigan Chronicle puts on. This is the 19th year for it. Great community conversations that happen, and we're live streaming it here for you. And one of the panelists today, of course, was Ryan Maibach from Barton, Malow. It's so good to see you, Ryan.
Good to see you.
You know what? This is... talk to me about the energy in the room, and when you sit down and have these kinds of conversations and able to take questions from the audience. What was it like for you today?
I mean, it's a great room. I mean, I think you can even hear, and still many minutes after it's concluded, the amount of dialogue and conversation. It's a room of great friends. I mean, anytime you can get a group of community leaders together to talk about relevant topics, it's encouraging. There's a lot of energy. And so it's one of the things that I appreciate the most about Southeast Michigan and Metro Detroit is, we have this sort of environment. We work throughout the country, and we don't always see this or experience this.
Yeah, we're talking a lot today about infrastructure building and jobs, really, and keeping the next generation here in town. I want to start with building and putting the last beam on the Hudson site that came this week. Talk to me about the project and what this has been like and changing the skyline of the city.
Absolutely. The projects that are most meaningful to us are the ones that have the greatest impact. And I mentioned earlier on the panel, we often talk about the opportunity that we have to positively impact people and communities through the projects we build. Very excited about the impact LCA has had over years. We were grateful to be a part of that. And Hudson's, I think, represents so much. Its history, its legacy, and as well its future, an opportunity for Detroit. And so being able to celebrate a milestone like lifting the final beam, it's a tradition in our industry, and it was a really great celebration and big milestone for us, getting closer.
You know what? And when we also talk about jobs and opportunity. So one thing that a lot of people have talked to us afterwards and it's just like that understanding that the jobs can be there and the training is available as well, and making sure that there's the wraparound services for people in Detroit to be able to be trained for these jobs in the future. And you talk about how important construction is not only here in Michigan, but across the country right now.
Absolutely. And another wonderful aspect of Southeast Michigan and Metro Detroit is we're a union contractor. The unions in the building trades have just such tremendous tools. The training infrastructure that they built up over time is really second to none. And so we have a lot of confidence in the trade organizations being able to train up those individuals. The challenge for our industry for some time has been a real shortage of trades. And so the training is there. A big part of events like today are just connecting the dots in organizations that can help bring people into the construction trades.
When we look at where the city of Detroit stands right now, I find it funny that every time I travel and people say, oh, you're from Detroit, they ask, what's going on there now? And I can only imagine that the conversations that people ask you saying, how are things shaping up in the city? We've come a long way when we talk about 11 years since bankruptcy and so much more. What are people's perceptions outside of the city of what you're doing in the city now?
Yeah, well, I mean, what's really encouraging, we have a opportunity to bring a lot of people into the city, whether it's some of our clients to visit our office to strategize on projects or recruitment of individuals from schools throughout the country. And it is really exciting to bring people into this environment that's now so vibrant, and events like the NFL draft and just having such a steady and consistent diet of those sorts of events and opportunities really is creating a vibrancy that's pretty infectious. I had an opportunity a month or so ago to have a good friend come up from Miami to show his daughter a local school that she's really interested in. And these are things that just, I didn't necessarily experience 15, 20 years ago, but they're happening now, and it's really exciting.
All right, so where are you going to be for the NFL draft? You got a good viewing area? Or are you going to be walking around or what?
Yeah, I probably need to get on that. I don't have my plans fully baked, but it's exciting that so many of the projects that we've been a part of are going to be a big impact and a key part of the NFL draft experience.
Yeah, and 100 years. Congratulations, you guys are celebrating this year. And how will that round out for you?
Well, it's fun. I mentioned on stage that we have such a terrific opportunity, all of us, as a part of our experience in life, to experience the anniversaries and birthdays or the concept of time provides an opportunity for reflection as well as just thinking about the future. And so for us, we're using it as an opportunity to remember things that are a big part of our past, but then also to lay groundwork for the future. And so it's been a really fun process for us to do. We're a very distributed team throughout most of the country. We're doing a road show to take that celebration to all of our different projects locally and nationally. And it's been a really just fun year of planning, and then now being able to be in the moment and experience it.
Well, good stuff. We can't wait to see what's next, and we'll
Thank
continue
you.
to follow everything. Ryan
Thank you
Maibach,
for all
of
you
course, from Barton Malow. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you soon. Okay.
You too. Thank
all
you.
righty, and we'll be right back. Stay with me.
Great.
All right, we are here live in downtown Detroit on the 16th floor of One Campus Martius. And joining me now is Jason Head, and he is a developer. He's a community activist. You played football at Eastern, right, Jason?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. That's kind of one of the places that affords the opportunity for me to be where I am today. Just learned a lot of good things on the football field. And now I'm in the real estate development field and doing work in the city.
All right, so why don't you go ahead and tell me, what did you think of the conversation here today, and maybe some of the side conversations in the room?
Right. I really enjoyed the forum today, talking about jobs and opportunities for Detroiters, seeing especially in the skilled trades, the opportunity to create different avenues for the kids in the neighborhoods and the communities. I think it's very important to be able to see leaders and how they're impacting the community. So it's very good to be a part of that and just to be able to get engaged with the folks in the room to hear different ideas. So it was a great forum.
So what are some of the biggest concerns that you're seeing around the cities or need for opportunity as a real estate developer?
Well, I say just the enhancement of skilled trades opportunities for Detroiters, making sure that they're able to be in the room, to have the opportunity to know that you can become an electrician or a carpenter or get into mason work. And then, you know what, you don't necessarily just have to start there, but you can continue on to be a business owner in the future. And the opportunity that a lot of these organizations have, that they'll pay you to learn how to have a skill in the trade, is huge. So that's a great opportunity that needs to be talked about more.
Yeah, and when we talk about it more, but is it more access or getting people to understand where they can find those things and the fact that they can get paid while they are being trained?
Well, I believe in order to be it, you have to see it. So I think that it's about exposing the kids in the schools to the different opportunities, making sure that they're available to talk to the folks that are in these trades and in these companies that are running these organizations that have the opportunities, because once they can see the opportunity, then they'll start to believe and identify with what's available for them.
Sometimes I think that conversations like this, I mean, we're up on the 16th floor, but sometimes they can be not with the community. They can be just high in a room with other people that can talk about things, but don't actually see actionable things. What is it about the Michigan Chronicle having these types of conversations, saying, look, we need to open this to a lot of community members?
I think the Chronicle does a great job of inviting different advocates, different folks of the community to be a part of the conversation. They want community, they want business, they want philanthropy to be at the table. And I think the other part of it is taking that conversation outside of these walls and actually talking to the different folks in and around the city about those opportunities. And the conversations that are being had is utterly important, and the Chronicle does an amazing job at that.
Yeah. All right. Jason Hedden, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your time and your expertise. All righty. You have a good weekend. Okay.
Thank you too.
All right. And that is going to do it for our coverage of Pancakes and Politics here on Local 4 Plus. You can see a comprehensive wrap up of it today at 12:30 on the Daily Plus Live. And then again tonight at 8 o'clock. We'll be streaming it, of course, on Local 4 Plus and clickondetroit.com. So for all of us at Local 4 and, of course, the Michigan Chronicle, I'm Christy McDonald. I'll catch you at 12:30 for the Daily Plus Live. I'll see you then.